Okay, but then 198 if you include Kosovo, because some
Oh,
people
Kosovo's already in there.
Do some places not. 198 if you include Somaliland or Somaliland, which is also disputed.
No, I included both of those in my 197. So what am I missing?
I don't know. Transnistria?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that one's not in there.
That one's not in there and possibly not going to exist for much longer.
Right.
What definition are we using? Are England, Scotland, and Wales all separate countries?
No.
Yes.
They would be if you asked the right people in those countries, though.
I know, but
this is so the wrong podcast for this. Although I would subscribe to that podcast if we were to have that conversation. Also, side note, we should talk after this show.
We have things to discuss, both after show and on show. This show, by the way, being the Fairly KickAss Music Podcast.
Thanks for that reminder.
I appreciate you making sure to differentiate because of all the other Fairly Kick-Asses out there that are doing wholly other things.
Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need just the whole Fairly Kick-Ass like media conglomerate. Fairly Kick-Ass movies, Fairly Kick-Ass TV shows, snack foods, restaurant reviews.
You do realize all you're doing is talking yourself into more production work, because I'm here for everything you just said and more. Like I said, we should talk after the show.
I mean, if you see like a random microphone come in and like hit me in the head, it's producer Nikki being like, "What the fuck are you doing? Shut up. We have enough."
Cool Zone Media, hit us up. We got ideas.
I got an entire 5-subject notebook back here that I've been working on for the last couple weeks.
Oh my gosh. We're branching out. Much to everyone's chagrin, we are branching out. But we got some business to attend to before we get to all the other parts of our blossoming media empire, and that is March reviews.
Woo!
It was a very full month for me in terms of volume of albums, in terms of content of albums, in terms of the sound. Everything just seemed big. It just seemed present and there, and not necessarily like that is reflected in my top 3, because I do have a lot of subtlety going on in there, a lot of the softer side of the month. But it was chock full, I thought, and a lot of it was pretty damn pleasant.
Yeah, I love this time of year because it sort of like shakes it up. You start getting some of the newer, the interesting, the non-metal releases. January and February, like that's the focus, right? Like it's a lot of, because the pop artists don't drop anything but singles during that time for the most part. Some toward the end of February you start to get some of that, but then March it really starts coming out, right? Like you get a whole bunch of cool stuff. I made notes on 20 records, well, more than that, but full sentence notes on 20 records. Not all of that is my honorable mention, so don't worry, you don't have to hear me blather on about that, but I was here for it, all of it. It was a good month. My list is decidedly not the softer side of the month.
We're going to have a little bit of juxtaposition. We may have a tiny bit of overlap, but I doubt it.
My guess is one of mine is going to be on your honorable mentions, and then actually 2 of mine might be in your honorable mentions based on what you just said a moment ago.
Ooh,
and I would imagine that my honorable mentions have some of what you have on your list. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that overlap looks like. Mm-hmm. And I imagine some of that actually has a little bit of overlap with Dan. Yeah. Dan, how did you deal with March?
Actually, I had a decent amount, and it was thanks to a couple of records dropping and having a good amount of them chart. And I don't mean to take us down a fourth wall breaking rabbit hole, but since you mentioned a number, I am curious, and I don't know if anyone else is or not, but I'll throw it out there. You mentioned you had notes on 20 records. Is there an average number that y'all listen to in a month. Like, I know any varies because by month by nature of the charts, and obviously I would say it's safe between 15 and like 25 is probably the average month, but if stuff's moving I could see up to like 40 or 50, but I didn't know if there was a average load that you guys listening load that you guys take on. I couldn't find a better way to phrase that. Sorry.
No, that's a really good question. And I would say when the music is good, like it was in March, I am in the neighborhood of 30 to 50 records. The average is a bit strange, but when it's a good month, I've gotten up to 60. Like if it's a full ass month of music, I'll get up to 60, which puts me in the neighborhood of 600 songs to listen to over the course of the month. I would say if we're trying to take an average for the year, we're probably in that 25 to 30 range usually.
I think that sounds about right for me too. Like I'll, have a kind of a screening process of, is this album going to be something that I'm going to want to go back and listen to after? So that screening, is 2-3 tracks per album, kind of take it or leave it. And then the ones that meet that criteria, those are the ones that are, like you said, Jay, the 15, 20, 30 that get like the full listen and then sometimes don't get notes on them, but most of the time, if they make it that far, they're at least getting a sentence or two, good or bad.
Yeah.
And I do have both of those on my list too, because there were some choices made this month.
There were some choices made. That is a good way to put that.
Cool. I was just curious, and I think that's the first time. I don't know if we talked about this at any other point in the past, but this is the first time I've heard you throw out a number. So I figured, I'd ask.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. I don't know that we have ever talked about like what the listening capacity is for the week.
Right. We may have off air, and this might be the first one with the light on. So there's that.
Maybe
too.
I don't remember really ever talking about it. Truthfully, I know we've mentioned like whether it was a lighter month or a heavier month for us, but never gotten specific. I would like to track that now that you've mentioned it. I should go back through and see. Because I do this all on a spreadsheet, so I very easily could go back through and check and see, like, generally speaking, what kind of numbers, except in 2024 when I literally wrote nothing.
That's fair.
For like the whole year.
That's strong. That's strong as hell. I did not realize that.
I had the best of intentions. The spreadsheet is made. The data is there with lists, and there's no notes anywhere.
Would not have known in a million years that you didn't have notes.
Yeah. It's fun.
We've all been there. We've all, if we're pulling back the fourth wall or pulling back the curtain, like, we all have certainly winged it at various stages of this podcast.
Yeah. Jay's performance today is brought to you by New Riff Straight Kentucky Bourbon Whiskey. Is good.
Nice. There you go. Your FKA whiskey ranking of the episode.
Yeah, it's important.
I'll add that to the notebook.
Jay, while Dan gets that dialed in, why don't you hit us with your number 3 of the month?
I can do that. And this is one of those that might be an overlap with you, because my number 3 record is it's an artist that we generally do talk about when they release something, and that is the New Pornographers. Their record dropped, and it's called The Former Sight Of. And this record sort of sees the New Pornographers leaning into melody and texture and mood a little more than I think they have in the past. Like, maybe not the texture is loosely, but the mood and the melody, they are sort of leaning into it. But the result is one of their most immediately inviting records that they've had in a long time. It's easily the shinziest they've ever sounded. It's full of warm, layered instrumentation and a kind of like, I called it a sun-faded indie glow is sort of what I felt while listening to it. Like that. It traded some of their usual punch for atmosphere. Honestly, I'm here for all of that. This album feels cohesive and intentional, and it's them stretching their identity just a little bit, even if that means sort of softening their sharper edges. That said, the balance of the voices on this record isn't quite what I would have wanted it to be. Carl Newman still steers the ship for most of the runtime, and while his presence remains like a defining part of the band's sound, there's this lingering sense for me that the record could have benefited a little more from Catherine Calder and Nico Case, but I'm biased. Their voices always add depth and contrast, and they to me, they're the emotional lift of a New Pornographers record. Even so, when everything clicks, it clicks. Particularly, my favorite track on the record is Wish You Could See Me, I'm Killing It. It's a phenomenal track. It's a classic New Pornographers magic, but it's a hook that sticks in immediately and it refuses to go away. And it's on that softer side of the record. Overall, I would say it's a quietly adventurous entry into their catalog. It's not explosive, it's not immediate, but it does reward you with its warmth and detail and its understated charm.
Hell yeah, dude. I'll be the weird one here and stick my neck out and say out of the three of them, my favorite vocalist is Catherine Calder, and honestly always has been.
I think Nico Case might be my favorite songwriter of the three, but I do like Catherine Calder's voice a lot.
Yeah. I like her solo stuff is just outstanding. If you like the New Pornographers, you'll certainly like that. Talking to the listeners, I know you'll like it. I had this as an honorable mention specifically because there were 3 artists on this month's list that like these artists are always in my top 3. I can't always put them in my these artists probably would be my top 3 if I allowed it. So based on nothing but policy alone, they become an honorable mention.
Gotcha.
I will withhold the other 2 in case they end up as your number 2 or number 1. But you can probably guess both of them, in fact.
Well, this was one of the ones I guessed that it would be on your honorable mentions.
For sure.
If not in your top 3. But since that was on your honorable mentions, go ahead and let us know what is in your top 3.
Yeah, my actual, not my spiritual top 3, but my true top 3. You had mentioned earlier in the show that, we are past January and February. We're past the quote unquote metal months, and we're on to, some of the lighter fare. We're on to more of the pop fare. So of course I had to pick a metal album for my number 3. I mean, That just felt right. It's something that I specifically told myself not to do also. I don't know if it was because it was the month. I don't know if it was just the mind state that I was in, but I was like, you don't need anything hard, Zach. You need chill. You need smooth. There is a lot of that at the upper echelon of my list. But Winter Filleth, not chill. Not at all, but actually very chill in other ways, which I will get to in a moment as I talk about their latest studio album, The Unyielding Season. Because sometimes exceptions are to be made, sometimes rules are to be broken, and both were true for my number 3. This was the 9th studio album for the Manchester outfit, and it was an album that thrived on juxtaposition. Truly, this was 2 EPs that were shoved together, to be completely realistic. The first part, it was the black metal that you would expect. If you are a fan of such fare, then you're going to love Heroes of 100 Fields. It was the album opener and absolutely shredded. A Hollow Existence added a lovely melody to the melting aspect that you came for. And the title track goes on for about 8 minutes and does not overstay its welcome at any point. Fabulous, fabulous stuff. But the juxtaposition part comes at the latter half of the album because 4 of the last 5 tracks are not metal whatsoever. They are pure acoustic tracks. They sound like they would be at home. The thing that I thought of immediately when I heard these tracks is like the score of the video game and I guess also the TV show The Last of Us. Like it gave that vibe, it gave that sort of feeling, that sort of the uneasiness is still there. These aren't like friendly tracks. These aren't like bunnies in a meadow. We're not talking that at all. But there's no riffs. There's no drums. It's just pure acoustic bliss. So if you're a fan of 2 things that are kind of unlike each other but still work together, give Unyielding Season a try, and I think you will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, if there are bunnies in that field, they have no heads. Or they're the bunny from Monty Python with big nasty teethies. Yeah, no, that's a really good record. Weirdly, I don't even have that on my honorable mentions, which is odd. But I have been shying away from black metal recently, and I don't have a reason why. It hasn't been hitting for me. That one was a cleaning the garage record. For me this month, and it killed it. Like, it absolutely nailed it. It hit the mood, it hit the zone. And then I didn't even clock it when it switched over on those last 3 tracks until I was a good chunk into it. And they're like, oh wait, is that? And then I had to look to make sure that was still, and it hadn't like clicked over into the next record.
Right.
I was like, no, that's still Cool.
Yeah, it weirdly worked. It was really rad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
Right on, man. Well, I'm going to guess your number 2 is every bit as cool as the Winterfell album was.
Whoa. It is very cool, but in a very different way. Probably in the most different a way it could be. There's very little chill in my number 2 record, but not in a black metal kind of way. My number 2 record is This Music May Contain Hope by Ray. And I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that Ray makes my top 3 when she drops a record. It's only the second time that's happened, but the first time it happened, it was my favorite record of the entire year. So this should not be a surprise to anybody. And while This Music May Contain Hope doesn't quite land with the seismic impact of my 21st Century Blues, it is still pretty freaking awesome. Like, the production leans hard into a maximalist grandeur, and at times it goes into this like Adele does a Bond theme territory, all sweeping strings, cinematic weight. But it honestly, truthfully, it occasionally even buries Ray's voice more than it should, which feels criminal given that her voice is the main event. But here's the thing. That doesn't matter. Ray is a gem, and even when the production threatens to overtake her, she cuts straight through it with sheer presence. The sentiments, the lyrics, and sweet crippled Moses, that voice, all land exactly where they need to. What makes the album stick for me is her perspective. Ray leans completely into that determinist attitude that she's carved out for herself. This blend of resigned aggression and righteous indifference. It feels deeply personal and universally relatable. And her writing is pointed and vitriolic. There's always that undercurrent of acceptance that goes with it. Like, every emotional gut punch ends with a quiet shrug and a muttered, well, it is what it is. The record plays like a series of vignettes, which is important because it kind of gives it that theatrical narrative, that super cinematic presence. It feels bigger. And the back-to-back pairing of my 2 favorite tracks on the record are Click Clack Symphony and I Know You're Hurting. They're the emotional and sonic centerpiece of the album. The former, Click Clack Symphony, sort of explodes with Hans Zimmer's instrumentation. Let's look at that for a second. This is her second record, and she's working with Hans Zimmer. So there's that. It's dramatic. It's pounding in all the right ways. The latter, I Know You're Hurting, pulls you in closer. It offers that sense of solidarity and fragile hope. Together, those 2 songs sort of capture the album's core ideals, that survival, growth, and maybe even healing are possible, especially when you don't have to carry it all alone.
That was absolutely one that I looked at and saw and like, this is Jay's domain. I daren't step on that, at least not for the top 3.
But you should listen to it.
That's the problem. I forgot. I saw that and wrote it off for myself and thought, Jay's going to handle the talking, so I don't have to have this on my list. But I should, because Ray's amazing. And then I forgot to actually add it back to my list.
That's okay. You'll come back to it. And actually, a lot of these songs are going to wind up in Dan's territory. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
He already talked about Where the Hell Is My Husband, which is a banger. Like that one, but that one sort of is indicative of the production on this record. It's big. There's a lot of gospel, a lot of just really big musical moments. And for me, that kind of takes away from what she did on my 21st Century Blues, which where she was the star of the show. On this one, it's the songs that are the star of the show, which is cool. And it's still really good. I would still put it second to 21st Century Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wow. I'm gushing again because that's what I do when I'm talking about her. But are you about to gush as much about your number 2 record?
I think I am. And I think I'm going to gush for some of the reasons that I want to say criticize, because I absolutely was not criticism, but some of the things that you wish were a little different about the Ray album. I think my number 2 album actually did in a way that I would have preferred and did prefer. And I think the album really shined because of it. Because just like with Ray, just like with, you mentioned Adele, and there are, several other examples too, like some artists just have a voice. That's not to say anything about like vocal quality or vocal strength or technical prowess. It can be about those things, sure, but it doesn't have to be. It's simply that thing that when you hear a voice that you just kind of pause and think to yourself, wow, that is a voice. That is absolutely, like, maybe you can't even explain or describe why, but you just know that this voice is just, it is, it is a singular entity, and it should be placed on a pedestal. And that is where I land with my number 2 album, which is Good Intentions by London's own Ego LMA. Because, oh my God, Ego LMA has a voice. I'd written notes about it, and you kind of underscored it perfectly, Jay, when you were talking about it. Like, the production is perfect for what this is. It's not non-existent. It's not slight. It's not subtle. It does hit. It gives you instrumentals. It gives you backing vocals. But the ultimate goal is to put May's wonderful, beautiful vocals front and center at all times. And the production succeeds in spades in that specific endeavor. May also succeeds in her endeavor of sounding absolutely every bit as smooth and just lovely and perfect as you would want. Tracks such as like Footwork and Love Is a Heavy Thing and Sister were some of my favorites. And I think that was because not only were the vocals super on point in all of those, but I think the production, while being different between those 3 tracks, was very, very solid in exactly what I was saying. Like, that this is not an album of songs. This is an album of, I want to hear Ego LMA, and I did, and it was really, really great. Very similar in sound to Sky Edwards is kind of the first name that popped into my mind as I was listening, from Morcheeba and from a lot of really awesome solo work too. Very similar vocals, very similar vocal styles, and a very similar kind of understated beauty to both vocals. So go listen to some Sky Edwards, go listen to some Morcheeba, and absolutely go listen to Good Intentions by Ego LMA.
I listened to a lot of Sky Edwards and Morcheeba. That's one of my go-to, like, chill vibe sounds. Did not listen to this record, the Ego LMA, and honestly, I was pronouncing it Ego, so I appreciate that correction from you.
I appreciate the internet for correcting me, because I was doing the same thing.
That's what I was looking up just now too. I was like, did he pronounce it wrong, or did I pronounce it? It was me. I pronounced it wrong. So no, I didn't even recognize that had dropped and missed it completely. So that's something I'll have to catch up on.
Yeah. I think you're really going to enjoy it, dude.
Yeah. I've liked her previous work. So although previous work I wouldn't have likened to Sky Edwards as much as like an Erykah Badu. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. That sounds really intriguing to me. My interest is piqued.
Well, I am curious to hear if you like it and kind of what if there is a comparison, if you do like what your comparison is for it, for sure.
I mean, now that I know that you think it's Sky Edwards, that's what I'm going to hear.
I hope so. I can just visualize you listening like, there's no Sky Edwards in here. What the hell was he talking about?
Also possible.
Well, definitely report back with your findings there.
Yeah.
And before we get to our number ones, I am going to need you to report back on your honorable mentions of the month. I know you had quite a few that you had come through your office.
Yeah, I'm going to narrow it down to just a handful here. I'm going to throw out the EP that was dropped by McCluskey, which is I Sure Am Getting Sick of This Bowling Alley, which would, if it had been a full album, would have edged out the New Pornographers. I left it off because of the arbitrary rules that I play by where EPs don't count. But it was phenomenal. Odd, hardcore, not really. It's loud. It's enjoyable and fun. And you should listen to it. Also loud is the new Lamb of God record, Into Oblivion, which is pretty standard Lamb of God stuff. There's a few moments on the record where Randy gets a little bit softer. Like he's got a softer side on this record, and it kind of takes you out. It seemed odd to me. I think a few more listens might change my mind, but I keep going back to St. Catherine's Wheel and El Vacchio, which is both of those are phenomenal tracks. I also want to mention the Harry Styles record, which I imagine Dan will be talking about something on that record, whether good or bad, here shortly, unless he just lumped the whole thing into the middle as meh, which is entirely possible. I wanted to bring it up for the couple of tracks that I thought were absolute bangers, which is the tracks Ready, Steady, Go and Are You Listening Yet, which has some really interesting musicality on it. Especially, actually, the other track that had some really cool instrumentation on it was the beat for Season 2 Weight Loss, which has a really cool drum track that makes the rest of the music almost unnecessary. The drum track was awesome. But there's also a couple other boring tunes, like Aperture was dropped beforehand. Then there's also Coming Up Roses, which is lyrically cool and the strings are kind of impressive, but it's bland. So the record got a perfectly listenable note from me. I will also bring up the new Robin album, Sexistential, because Robin is amazing and can do almost no wrong. And in this case, she did no wrong, but she also, nothing is like, God damn, I need to hear that again. Like it's good. It's really good. Dance electronic pop. If you don't know Robin, then get out from under your rock and go listen to Sexistential because it's really cool. But it 8 years since her last record, my expectations were a little higher. I also want to mention Melissa Etheridge for similar reasons, because she hadn't dropped an album in a little while, and she hasn't missed a beat. I am not still sold that she's Hall of Fame worthy, but the songs, they tell a story. They are perfectly crafted. They are just not quite groundbreaking. The best/worst/best/worst again lyric on the record is "Don't you want a woman who can drive your car?" Which cracked me up for a lot of reasons, but like it simultaneously shows like just how old school blues Melissa Etheridge is, but also that old school blues lyrics are stupid. There's also another line on the record that is, if you ever leave me, I'm coming too, which is funny, but also stock much. I think the only other ones that I wanted to mention were, I lumped them together on here because they are simultaneously really good records, but also not records that I realized could be controversial listens when I listened to them. One of them I should have known because CeeLo Green is apparently I've been under the rock, but the new Gnarls Barkley record was a banger. And I gave it 4 points when I kept reading, and I felt bad about having listened to it and now about having mentioned it. And it's problematic because the record was really good. And then Melanie Martinez is the other one who, not to that same level of allegations and whatever, but there's some stuff that's up in the air, and listen at your own risk, I guess. But Hades was fun. The lyrics are stupid, but the music is cool.
I vaguely remembered that there was something like distinctly unsavory about CeeLo Green. I could not remember what it was.
So we can, I mean, I can bring you up to speed real quick, but it basically, there were some allegations of sexual harassment and assault allegations a long time ago. The charges were all dropped, but his tweets are after the fact were the real, like, that's the shitty part, right? Like, he responded with one tweet said, if someone's passed out, then they're not even with you consciously. So with implies consent.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And then the one after it was, women who've really been raped, remember.
Fuck.
And therefore, no thanks. I'm out.
Yeah. Gonna go ahead and remove that from the honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And a big red X through that. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I have one less to talk about. So.
Didn't mean to bring everything down there. At least on the Melanie Martinez side, like, there's a bunch of allegations and nothing has been, like, proven. It's a lot of he said, she said stuff, or she said, she said stuff. And there's nothing that has been proven or otherwise at the moment. So you can enjoy that record if you like. It's a pretty cool album.
I did not listen to it, so I didn't even have it on the honorable mentions. So at least one potential bullet I dodged there from potentially problematic folks. But we take off the gnarls Barkley. We still got plenty of meat on that bone, so was not hurting for honorable mentions. You mentioned the Melissa Etheridge album, and I dug that quite a bit. It was a lot, but I think it was a lot in, like, a good way, in a fun way, for sure. What else did I have? I had so much. I'm trying to go through because I have a lot of bad, and I don't want to talk about them yet. So instead, I will talk about Australian country artist Becky Cole with the album Through the Haze. And apologies because I may have missed it if you had mentioned this album, but super old school country, like 1970s style country. It was cool as hell. Listen to it in a smoke filled dark bar of your choice, and it will hit perfectly. Nashville, if you're listening, like you could use a little bit more of that to be absolutely fair. Speaking of, Dear Nashville, the latest album from Ashley Monroe, another solid country offering, a little bit more modern on the scale, but still every bit as good of a listen. Really, really enjoyed that album. We had one of the other ones that was always going to be in the top 3, so I had to restrain myself. It was We Are Together Again from Bonnie Prince Billy, who I absolutely adore. Yeah, Will Oldham has perfected the formula. This is his 31st.
I'm keeping 31st.
That's accurate. Whatever. It's his 31st studio album. He's had a couple other pseudonyms thrown in there for good measure. If you love him, then you're going to love We Are Together Again. It's classic Bonnie Prince Billy. It's perfect. It is inscrutable. Let's get to the shit real quick so I can stop dancing around it. Have you been to heaven at Symbol Night? Kid Cudi, my guy. We share a home state. We share the fact that you've put out some great music, and I've loved some music that you've put out. This album wasn't it, guy. This album was just dog shit. It was terrible. It was not good. Maybe I'm grading on a curve, but it was not good at all.
What happened to him, man?
I'm telling you, I had such high hopes, and they were
I didn't after the last one.
Yeah,
I didn't have high hopes for this one after the last one. Nope.
Correct answer. Oh God. Flea, you're up next on my shit list. I don't know if it's pronounced Honora or Honora. I would like to pronounce it right into the trash can if I can. It was weird, but like experimentally weird in a way that like I didn't want or ask for or need from Flea or anyone else, but especially not from Flea. Like it just didn't. the Jack Harlow Shitty Lyric of the Month award goes to Jack Harlow.
Oh, please, what is this? What is this lyric?
This is from the album Monica. The track was My Winter, where Jack said, "All right, I got to get it out of my system. Conventional wisdom tells me about the grass that I'm a fence from." He got paid ostensibly dollars, like currency, for saying those words. And I'm still not sure why or who. There were people involved in this transaction as well. They're every bit of as responsible.
Nobody looked at him and like with the rolled up newspaper said, no.
Let's rub his nose in My Winter. He fucking deserves it.
You know, like they should have done when he remade White Men Can't Jump as well. Like that.
Yeah.
Like, and Vince Staples is in that movie and didn't say anything. Like, come on, man.
Vince especially, like, right? I feel like he would have been the first one to be like, dog, what's up here? and one more quick one. Blackstone Cherry had an album. It sucked, but it also had a super shitty cover of the classic Simple Minds track, Don't You Forget About Me. Because if it wasn't bad enough, it features Theory of a Dead Man for extra and shitification. Fuck that song and that whole album.
No. So I've seen them live a couple times and they put on a hell of a show. And nice. I haven't enjoyed, I don't think, a single song that they've released since like White Trash Millionaire, like 20 years ago or however long ago that was, right? Like that was the last fun, good song that they released. I put this album on and I don't remember any of it except that I was like, oh yeah, that guitar's pretty good because it's fine. The guitar work is fine.
Decent guitar. I'll give you that. It's just the everything else that I wasn't fond of.
Yeah. I unabashedly really enjoy their early stuff, despite the fact that the lyrics are ass. Like they're so bad.
They're really rough.
But the early stuff is a lot of fun, even though it's bad. This one, I'm over it, I guess, maybe, because it's not really any different.
It's just maybe like the fun is gone and it's still bad.
Or maybe it is worse. I don't know. If you're a fan of Blackstone Cherry, let us know if you feel like they've gone downhill as well. And also, why did we listen to the Flea record? Like, we should have known.
Why? It was right on the tin.
Like, I feel like that's the thing. Like, John Frusciante released his album last year that was just a single note being droned and then the pitch changed. And that's not even an exaggeration. That's the entire record. So I don't know why I bothered listening to Flea. But
like, what do we expect?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I expect, dude, and that is something way better than the Flea record at your number one.
So I think so, but here's the fun part. This one surprised me, and I'm going to cut off judgment ahead of time by saying I know, but the thing is that Zack Wild and Black Label Society have been a consistent presence in my musical life for decades. It's a connection that he's not really aware of, but I probably owe him a couple of PBRs at this point. From the early Pride and Glory days through the formation of Black Label Society in '98, he's built this career of consistency and grit and an unwavering commitment to his sound. A lot of bands shift with trends, and Black Label Society definitely has their lane that they stick to, and it balances massive riffs and soulful melodies, which you don't expect from a straight up metal band. But it's a distinct blend of heaviness and heart. Even with Zack juggling his high profile work with Ozzy and with Pantera, he continues to produce music with this high energy. And Engines of Demolition, which is the name of the new record, captures everything that makes Black Label Society enduring. The album moves with purpose. It's got crushing riff-driven tracks alongside moments of stripped-down, southern-tinged emotion, but there's no excess or indulgence. Songs like Name in Blood, which is the album opener, and Lord Humongous, which is later in the record, showcase their signature power. There's tracks like Better Days, Wiser Times, and Back to Me have that more soft, reflective side. Gatherer of Souls and The Hand of Tomorrow's Grave may as well have given birth to stoner metal. The record's ebb and flow keep it engaging throughout. The album as a whole does not get stagnant ever. Track to track, like you feel like you're listening to separate tracks, but concise and coherent. And then we get to the album's closer, which is called Ozzy's Song, which was a surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, but a deeply heartfelt tribute that feels more like a good, just solid farewell. It's a powerful reminder that Zack's legacy, and it's a testament to a band that continues to deliver at the highest level. The album closes with the line, "I couldn't ask for more." And that feels like a wonderful send-off.
To be fair, first and foremost, with all that, with that beautiful workup, Zack Wilde would be absolutely honored to share 2 PBRs with you, dude. Real talk. He would be absolutely honored. The only track that I heard off of this album was the closer, was Ozzy's Song. It certainly gave shades of In This River, which I didn't realize was not actually written for Dimebag, but was obviously well dedicated to him after the fact, and has become, kind of synonymous with that. I think it has every bit of gravitas, if that's a fair way to describe it. It's heartfelt. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is. And it would not surprise me that this album rocks. I mean, like you said, it's what Zack has been doing. Great name, by the way. It's what he's been doing since time immemorial, aka 30 years ago?
Yeah.
However long ago it's been.
Just under, well, he's been around for longer than that, but
yeah. It's one of those that just as impactful as he's been in the music industry, on that fateful day when he goes, you just hope that there's someone behind him that's ready to pen a track in his honor, and that it's something as cool as Ozzy's Song or In This River.
Yeah, he's honestly there's a lot of, I don't know, internet buzz, whatever, about just how goofy Zack Wilde is, and he doesn't take metal very seriously and all that kind of stuff. And I just say, bite me. He's a talented artist. He's got a great voice, despite the fact that that's not his primary instrument. He's got a really good singing voice. It's metal, so sometimes the lyrics get a little crazy, but I was expecting, when I pulled up Engines of Demolition, I expected it to be just cheeseball corny metal, and it's not. It's a really well-crafted record, and I loved it. It elements of Anthrax, and even more recent stuff like Planet of the Apes. I can hear all of that. Corrosion of Conformity, who also dropped a record, and it wasn't this good.
Hell yeah, dude. Good shit. Can I maybe have something on that same level? It's a completely different number one album than
I hope you do. I'm excited.
Than Engines of Demolition. Yeah, these are, you talk about being opposites. These are diametrically opposed albums altogether. Because as I listened to my number one album, I heard with every song I heard more and more things that I loved about the album. Individually, with each song being quite different from one another, but yet kind of that thing of having the tracks that are dissimilar but also have a very signature sound and a very signature theme. In this case, if my interpretation is to be believed, the theme is the death of a relationship, and specifically the wake after the death of the relationship. Thus, the name of the album, "The Wake," by Irish singer-songwriter Foy Vance. And that one I know I'm mispronouncing because I did not look it up. So apologies to Mr. Vance for that likely butchering of your first name. The beauty of this album just lies in the inexplicable. It's one of those that I immediately knew that I loved, that I immediately knew was great, but that I didn't have a great way to articulate. And for someone talking about an album on a podcast, that's kind of a bad thing, to be perfectly realistic. But I couldn't turn off how much I enjoyed this album. So here we are. For instance, the track I'm Not Celebrating, where Vance discussed the kind of the very act of separation in sort of a metaphorical and a very literal way as well. There was the track Fiber Optic Love, where the ocean was used as sort of the vehicle to illustrate the large expanse between Vance and his presumed once partner, which was super beautifully performed. But is it the songwriting that drew me to this album? Is it the unique, even-keeled delivery across each track that still just oozes in charm and character and hiding pain underneath the covers that is there, but is still, kind of bubbling just right underneath the current? Is it the guitar, the very intentional guitar that plays every necessary note and not a note more that you need? It's efficient in that way. I don't know that I've ever described a song as efficient before, but this album is definitely full of efficiency. It is all that. And it's more that I can't put into words. But despite my lack of being able to really explain the brilliance of this album, I think all of you should go listen to it, because I think that if you're anything like me, I think you will greatly, greatly enjoy it.
You hit another one that I did not, in fact, listen to. I looked up how to pronounce his name, and I still don't know how to pronounce it because nothing is telling me. So I'm just going to go ahead and say you were accurate.
Yes, let's go.
He also has like the best mustache.
Yes, primo. So I'm covering mine up on the video. Like, don't look at it; it's hideous. Yeah, that one I'm less convinced that you'll love that one. I'm definitely convinced that you'll love the Ego LMA. This one I don't know, but I think that there's promise there.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Heck yeah, dude. There are some songs that we might love and we might not love, and Dan is here. That was the worst. I'm so sorry, Dan. You deserve so much better than he has.
Really
songs,
it's
folks.
fine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Since we're putting a pin on it for about 20 minutes here, let's get this out of the way thing and talk about the Harry Styles record, because everything I listened to fit into the meh category. Like, it was there. But the difference to me, and the one I had highest rated was actually The Waiting Game. But the difference to me was that, unlike those last two records that had a handful of songs that I continue to go back to because they keep popping up, or in mixes or in playlists that I have, I didn't hear anything that made me go, let me listen to that again.
Yeah, honestly, the only one of those that I would probably throw onto a playlist for anything moving forward is Ready, Steady, Go.
Yeah.
And that record made up the back 2/3 of this month's list, which to me was like the weak side of that. There's a handful of stuff at the top that is good to great and is worth the time and worth going back to, and names that I would not otherwise put up there or thought that I would put up there. And I could run through a couple of those quick because they include Baby Keem and his track with Kendrick Lamar and Mono Boyd, and Hillary Duff. This Roommates was actually pretty good. For a second, I had to make sure I didn't accidentally let a Taylor song slip into my playlist. Went, oh no, okay.
That's a great album. I did really like unironically, I did like the Hillary Duff album.
Yeah. Alex Warren's next single wasn't terrible. I mean, it's leaps and bounds. Fever Dream is leaps and bounds better than Ordinary. I know that's not saying a whole lot, but like,
bar's very low, Alex.
When the floor is so low, but still.
Would you say it's extraordinary?
No, I wouldn't go that far. But the one that I would give a special shout out as an honorable mention for the list is called Let 'Em Know from T.I., who's, I guess, looking to go out on a high note, even, and this works, even if there's like a little personal bias behind this one, because the title shares the same name as one of the Cavs slogans for this season. But this track is vintage tip. It is big and heavy and meant to be blasted. And hopefully this is a positive sign of things to come for that purported final album, whatever it drops this year.
Yeah, it's vintage, really. I mean, I feel like there are some styles that just don't stand the test of time. I feel like there are some hip hop artists that fall into that category, but T.I., I feel like this sound still sounds good and still sounds like it works in 2026.
Right. So I can move on to list proper. Speaking of someone putting out a single that reminds you of some of their best work, hitting all those high points to display some of what they're just really damn good at. We do have a Doja Cat, and the second single off last October's Vi, Gorgeous. It is a little weird that we're talking about a single hitting the charts this month after simmering on them for nearly 4 months, especially coming from Doja, but it's a song's worth the wait. I mean, with the glittering 80s production, which is a bit of a cheat code when it comes to my evaluations, I accept, but also digress. It's a track that once again has Doja flexing both her vocal range and her flow, which has been the basis of some of her other best work. Along with this being silky smooth and as catchy as ever, with a chorus that will stick with you for days. And it carries a personal, uplifting message that kind of permeates across that whole record. And of course, it wouldn't be a Doja single if the video hadn't generated so much buzz online, which is another reason that it does surprise me that we're finally seeing it bubbling up to the top 40 now, although the whole 8 months of Christmas do kind of have a tendency to keep these later year singles suppressed for a while.
Yeah, Doja just very rarely misses, especially on your list, dude. As I'm kind of going through some of the previous Doja entries on here, the worst I've seen, and there have been 3, including this one. There have been 3 since last March. The worst she's done is honorable mention.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Honorable mention and 2/3. So, yeah, this the production, like you said, glittering. Like just straight out of it's so good. It's just straight out of the 80s. It's perfect. It does kind of clash a little bit with her style, but I think I say clash like it's a bad thing. It's not. It is a good thing.
Yeah, it does, but like it doesn't ruin. I neither side ruins the other that much. Like I said, it's a little jarring at first, but you get there.
Yeah, jarring is a good way to put it in. Sometimes music needs to be jarring.
Agreed.
Well, that was 3. What do you got up at number 2 this month?
So I think, which I could have looked back in my notes at, but God, that sounds like effort. But I think we talked about this last month when the lead single came out. But Bruno Mars seems to have really liked what he and Anderson .Paak did as Silk Sonic, that he'll be keeping that sweeping 70s soul aesthetic for his next album, which also kind of shocked me that The Romantic was his first solo record in a literal decade, even though he has found a way to stay top of mind in the business the entire time. Anyway, the number 2 song of the month, that's that second single off that record, Risk It All. And right from the onset, the trumpet intro tells you this is going to be a different type of ballad, and it absolutely is. Frequently being described, I saw, as a bolero. It is a touching ballad about Mars being willing to give everything to his lover. Sort of another grenade, but in a far, far, far less ridiculous of a concept to express that feeling.
For sure.
You'll be hearing this in numerous future weddings that you attend. But just dismissing the song as that is dismissing the phenomenal production behind it, the simple fact that it comes at a time when those songs aren't making hits, really, and at a time when the only group seemingly writing wedding songs are the boyfriend country artists, which let's just not. It's a highly unique sound, and also putting aside another incredible vocal performance from Mars.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I don't know that this is the most Silk Sonic-y song on the album, but the album could very easily masquerade as a Silk Sonic album.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I say that with love because I've adored Silk Sonic, and I really appreciate this being the Bruno Mars era that we're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's easily the best. It showcases his voice, which is marvelous, but also like is fun to listen to.
For sure. Well, we got close to the top. We got close to the apex, Dan, but you know what we got to do.
Oh yeah, no, I do. And it'll be the only thing, and it's interesting because Jay pointed this out, and it was 180 degrees different from the way I took the song. By dishonorable mention down here goes to a Harry Styles song, the worst one I handled it, in the season 2 Weight Loss, because my first thought on this was Casio keyboard synth line, let's go. Yes. And then 20 seconds later, all my thought was turn down the drum loop for fuck's sake.
It's a good drum loop.
Sure. But that's not the only thing we're doing here. If all we wanted to do was hit the demo button, then that's what it shouldn't have been on the record. We just hit the demo button.
Yeah, no, basically he made a Timberlake song. I'm with you.
Oh God, he did. It's true.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I can't withdraw based on that joke alone, but because I don't have anything to replace it with. But just go with that. That's where I would put that. All right, respectfully withdrawn the DHM label. But the other 3 aren't so lucky. Actually, despite the fact that this song hits the bottom 3, I think it's another case of a month where the back end of the rankings were generally just meh, and that's something that's actually really generic. It wouldn't otherwise be worth mentioning. And this month, that track is Megan Maroney's Beautiful Things. It's as middle of the road country ballad as I could possibly think of. There's nothing wrong with it, nothing bad there, nothing offensive, but also nothing interesting, nothing new, and really nothing to make the song stand out, which some months that's as damning a criticism as you get. And it knocks you all the way down here.
Fair.
It's like you take Miranda Lambert and then you remove Miranda Lambert and then replace Miranda Lambert with a scoop of great value vanilla ice cream. And you get Megan Maroney's Beautiful Things.
Yeah. I feel like I might be mean because, again, digging into it and the song comes from A Sweet Place, and it's wrapped up in family and children and all this stuff. And you have a hard time getting anything out of it besides, a couple of really good lines in there. And it doesn't really stand out from dozens of other country songs that you've heard that have the same kind of feel and the same kind of mood. And
I don't disagree with your final sentiment, but I far prefer Megan Maroney to Miranda Lambert. So I'll take the great value vanilla. Thank you.
Okay.
That's fair. That is a fair sentiment. What is unfair, Dan, is that you had to listen to 2 songs that were worse than this month.
Oh, I was going to say, how did you know a general thesis on the last 2 songs? We'll get there. Let me get here. Because these songs were more of a struggle, and I questioned them being unfair, and I'll tell you why. But after learning that the artist admitted that he recorded song number 25 in one night whilst hammered, and that it was something that leaked 6 years ago and eventually was officially released because some group of people online demanded it, makes all the more sense that Dominic Fike's White Keys is down here at 25. To spread it out in a nutshell for you, the beats are fine, but the man his delivery is just, I don't know, kind of ass, and overall very bland to my ears. There's a lot going on in the song, like you would do if you were drunk and were just throwing a bunch of shit on the track. The background vocals seem to be taking the place of the hook, which, sure. And I've seen a couple of references to stadium ready hooks on this song, and I was very confused by that. I don't know if that's what people are talking about, or being the background vocals or the short chorus where most of the production just kind of falls away. Is that at the end of the day, the more reviews that I read, the closest I felt to Grandpa Simpson ever, in that I used to know what it was and then they changed it, and now what I'm with isn't it anymore, and what's it seems weird and scary, and trust me, it will happen to you too. But yeah, this is mid at best and slightly annoying at worst.
So in your assessment, you can say like there was this thing and you knew what it was, but maybe you could just say that you never knew.
I kind of want to say that. I kind of want to say that.
I mean, Dominic Fike said it a whole bunch in the song. I was just helping you out.
That's fine.
God damn it.
Cheers.
Sorry, I had another lyric that I just can't find again. It was awful. So just assume that there was another lyric in the song that was worse than him saying over and over and over again. I never knew.
Was it the line about ice cream?
Yep.
Like shit so sweet and everything?
Yeah, was it that? No, there was another one like the jeans so tight got G's in my Prada jeans or something to that effect.
I'm actually glad I let you guys do this because you're talking me out of the initial regret thing, because I was thinking like, I might give the line about White Keys being credit, and it's actually kind of a low key compliment to the person he's talking about or being with. But because playing the White Keys means you're mostly playing the major chords, so she's got to be major. But like, it's fine, but it has to be stupid. A stretch to be a compliment.
No, it's stupid. But and honestly, his story about him being hammered when he wrote, I didn't know that part. Like, so that was news to me. But that story makes it funny because here's the thing: if he had been hammered and stumbled into Kenny Beats studio and done this, we'd all enjoy it. I imagine. Like, well, the beat would be a little bit better.
The beat would be better. But he'd have got to the line with the ice cream, and that's when he'd be like, "You're done. Get out the booth."
Exactly. Yeah, he would have thrown that motherfucker out on his ear.
But it would have been funny, and we would have enjoyed it. And then that bit would have been playing on a loop, kind of like I dipped my balls in Thousand Island dressing or whatever that line was.
Shout out Zack Fox. Absolutely.
I got depression.
Gremlin.
Like, it's reminiscent of something like that where it makes no sense in the moment, but it's funny. And this just ain't it because he didn't lean into it.
For sure.
That's fair. That's very fair.
He was not in on the joke, and the joke was him.
No. Well, he made the joke himself. Yep. And if I was going to take any crap for not getting it with White Keys, which I'm actually kind of glad I haven't so far, I am going to take crap for putting the other side of that single, Baby Doll, at the bottom spot for March 2026. Let me be honest. The song Saving Grace is being 98 seconds for this nothing of a weak acoustic guitar track with more memeable rap verses, and not in a good way. Like, I don't know if it's just me. Droning would be the most accurate way to describe Fike's flow. It's a plain electric guitar that has some country flair to it, despite the fact that it opens with the same two chords as Don't Dream It's Over, which, funny to me, but hey now, it's bedroom pop in every sense of the word, in as much as it feels half asleep, even as Fike tries to write a love song with some personal revelations sprinkled in, which again is where I'm reading a lot of this stuff from a lot of the people who love the Euphoria actor and are praising him for opening up on this stuff. And he had apparently a really hard life to get here. Okay. And at the same, but at the same time, I've also heard a lot of songs that are in that same vein and do personal writing. And with that aside, I don't hear a ton of stuff that stands out to me that makes me think I should come back to either this song or this artist. And that's fine if this is the admission that I finally got to. All right, bedroom pop just ain't my jam. Like what you like, but also at the same time, realize that it's kind of my job to be a dick about this stuff.
Well, it's your job to be a dick about it when it's bad, and it's bad.
Oh yeah. Because I've heard some fantastic bedroom pop. This not that. This is a different thing.
Yeah, that's legitimately it.
I don't know that I've heard fantastic bedroom pop since like the mid 90s, but I don't know, maybe.
I mean, if in comparison, at least.
I've heard better. We've all heard better entries in the genre, unless you're making a throwback all the way to like White Town, which I can't argue with you about that record, but neither here nor there. Yeah, I just, like I said, I don't, it's both of these songs took off because they were TikTok songs. And again, I hate being that old guy. Oh, they're just meme songs. Like, yeah, but when they suck, they are just meme songs. Like, we're degrading almost back to ringtone rap for a certain point. To where really all you need is 30 seconds for it to catch. No one is buying those 30 seconds to play on their phone anymore, but they're doing it to make their next TikTok video, and you get something for that.
I didn't think about it from that angle. Like how many TikTokable moments can I get in this 98-second song? Probably too many. One is too many.
I have to ponder that for a little bit. I mean, I honestly like, we could circle back, but like, it's one of those things where like, I feel like Spotify has helped the music industry in a way that, you know, when you back in the 30s and 40s, when you had to release a single at a time, every song had to hit. You couldn't have like filler tracks where like in the 90s, you could have an album that was basically 3 songs and a bunch of nonsense.
Oh yeah.
And now have we gotten to the point where it has to be at like every 60 seconds has to be a banger? Because that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I wonder if we're just kind of swing. It's a pendulum, as you mentioned, because you go through and the actual development of the album, which is a collection of singles. And then we get to the 90s where we can all finally admit that, yeah, albums were just too long in the 90s. Like it's a thing.
Too long.
And then it's starting to swing back the other way. Which
maybe
okay,
it's too far the other way. Maybe it's too far the other way, but I can see potentially some great musical things coming out of that. As somebody who enjoys an 8-minute song, I can concede that maybe some cool stuff comes out of an every 60-second killer. That's interesting.
Actually, when you put it that way, yes. You know, we have a project going off in the background, and maybe there's a side project to the side project that might be worth is essentially it would be an 8-minute album.
Are we already doing spin-offs to this thing?
I think we just came up. I think we did just come up with a spin-off here.
Can we do the one where all the lyrics are replaced by meows?
If you can get it in 50 or 60 seconds, then yeah, that could totally be part of it.
Done. Challenge accepted. Pretty sure Jay is out of this project. Which fair. Very fair.
Yeah. Let's revisit because
let's do that, because I think this was tried at one point, and the best thing to come out it was a fun experiment. But I say that because I bought their album, and the best thing to come out of that was the Nerf Herder song, which was 3/4 lyrics where I was thinking of you when I jerked off into my sock last night.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Argyle. And that was my favorite part of that song, was just them screaming out different kinds of socks.
Tube.
Yeah.
I padded my segment way too long. Let me just go ahead and give you the number one, and we can let you go on about your day.
Do that.
Yeah. So while I doubled up on the bottom tonight, let's also double up on the top. And while most of the music world has been raving about Risk It All being the best track off the Romantic, and it is good as we discussed, I look to another song as the best on the disc, and in this case, the best of the month, and that is Why You Want to Fight. And while a lot of the album is focused on the wooing and the woohooing, Why You Want to Fight is that ballad that comes up to the begging you not to go line. It is slow burning and soulful, which is a cheater adjective, sure, because the album drips with soul. 4 minutes of agony that puts Mars' vocals up front and bare, which is, as we talked about, is where he can excel. The bright piano and kind of muted drums here allows for Mars' performance to breathe and evolve over 4 minutes of near pleading for a lover to come back. His vulnerability shines through, and as we also mentioned before, proves this song would have more than fit right in on a Silk Sonic record, which puts it way up there for me, and of course at the top of this month.
As we know, there is a very, very fine line between plaintive and mewling. And Bruno is very firmly on the plaintive side of that line to great effect here. It is pleading, it is hoping, it is wishing, praying, whatever he has to do. And you feel it. I mean, there's true emotion in this track.
I mean, it's an absolute, again, we keep going back to having that 70s soul vibe, but it's an absolute throwback to a lot of great songs from that era as well.
100%.
Yeah, he's one of those, when it hits, it hits.
Yes.
He has the voice, he has the soul, and when the lyrics and the vocals like connect, you feel it. And this is one of those tracks. This is a good ass song.
100p.
Yeah, totally agree. This is a better song than Risk It All for sure.
And then if you happen to be listening to the album, this is also where it kind of turns up the energy into the second half, which is different from what you would conventionally expect, but neither here nor there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it its due. I did not really spin it when it came out back in late February, and besides the big singles, like I hadn't heard any of the other tracks, so I think it's time to remedy that.
And that's why I asked, because it came A in the short month and B in that really weird spot where it was like the last day of the month where it dropped, and it could have just hit that blind spot.
Yeah, that last day or that last Friday is like so odd to try to like get things in. At least here, like we had a little bit of leeway between that last Friday and when we're recording this, so that made it a little bit better. But sometimes like we're recording on the Friday, the last Friday of the month for the next month. So, we got to pack it in. It makes it
That
interesting.
didn't happen. That didn't happen this time though. We just dropped the ball.
Oh, for sure we did.
Yeah, I was trying to give y'all cover.
we only had about 3 days, I think, this time around, something like that, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, that's
we did,
right.
But
yeah, it was a good amount. We had a good amount of time to chuck it in, as we will next month as well, because looks like Friday is the 1st of May is a Friday, so we will be recording with a couple of days in advance. So yeah, plenty of time to catch up on that last Friday of releases.
Good.
Beauty.
And that is 4 weeks away before we get there. And there's going to be so much content that you're going to be able to get from then to now. There's so much content that you can get before now here on the Fairly KickAss podcast. I guess we should talk about how to actually.
I was like, where are you going with this, man? What is this thing that you're doing?
I didn't know if y'all wanted to like jump in and be like, yeah, and you can get it here. You could get it on Apple Music. And then Jay's like, yeah, you could get it on YouTube. And then Dan's like, or you could go to Spotify and you could even get it there. Like the Crossfire commercial from the 1990s.
We could have done that, but that was one way we could have done it. But then which one of us would have said the thing that told them what they have to type in to find us on all of those platforms?
I think if I had to guess, I think you probably would have, Jay. I think you would have.
Okay, cool. Because I mean, you can just type in Fairly KickAss or at Fairly KickAss in a lot of those places, and then you'll find us.
He's a wise man. He knows what he's talking about. That is Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok are those places where you could type in Fairly KickAss, as well as all the aforementioned podcast providers and every other podcast provider under the sun. Name one, and we're there. That's not necessarily true, but name one and we're not there, and you tell us, and then we are there, and it's like a magic trick. It's like we're, I don't know, David Blaine. Is he okay?
Is he okay? But you brought up another problem, Zach.
What's that?
If we're not on one of those platforms and they want to tell us that we're not on one of those platforms, do they just call us on the phone?
They could, but they're going to get a busy signal because we don't have a phone number.
Oh,
yet
cool.
One day.
What do we have?
We do have. I think we have do we have an email still, Dan? Is that box still up?
I think so. I think it's still active. I think you can still email us at fairlykickass@gmail.com, and I think it'll get to somebody. I also don't know if Ted changed the password on us on the way out. So
that would be like Ted. It really would.
Like he may be we may have been getting mail for months, and he may have been stealing it by having just changed the password and we just can't see exactly what happened. I don't know. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm feigning ignorance here.
I'll accuse them if you don't. I mean, tax records, got Bed Bath and Beyond coupons. Like, we're missing out. We are missing out. I think the listeners would hope that they could miss out on the last 2 minutes of this podcast, which will very likely be cut.
That is the dumbest way we've ever done that.
I totally beg to differ.
Producer Nikki's like, you don't get plugs this time. You haven't earned your plugs.
That's right. Plugs are for closers.
I never knew.
ABP, always be plugging.